right into it. So here we are on the bimtrack.co website, and this is where we are going to spend, I would say, the vast majority of our session today, because we are going to be talking about Bimtrack's web viewer. Now, I'm hoping, and from what I've seen in the polls I've launched, there are a few of us out there who are familiar with the viewer, but maybe there are some of us out there who aren't. So not only does Bimtrack plug into an array of platforms like Navisworks, Revit, AutoCAD, Tekla, Solibri, you name it, Bimtrack also has a lot of online web-based capabilities. And one of those capabilities is the viewer. So this is Bimtrack's web viewer. The idea and the methodology or the intelligence behind this platform is we have a cloud-based location where we can view our models. So what you're seeing here is my project tree where I've already uploaded quite a few models and I've separated them by folder. And this just helps keep things clean. I've got my architectural and site models, my MEPF, and my structural models. And within those folders, I have those IFCs. Bimtrack's web viewer can only read IFC models. It's not a problem. This is an industry foundation class. It is widely supported across our industry. All sorts of different developers are exporting our models to IFC. So once these models are in the viewer, and we'll talk about how we can get them in there in a second, we simply toggle them on or off. Here is my structural steel model. Here is my structural concrete. Come on, it's taking its time. We can turn on multiple models at a given time. So we can turn on all of those mechanical models. Now we're seeing my plumbing in here. There's some ductwork back here, quite nice. Let's zoom back out. I like to see everything come in at the same time. We can turn on the site, and then finally our architectural skin. All of these IFCs were individually either published to the viewer or imported. We'll talk about those two different options of how we get models into the viewer. The first is right here, where we add a file. We are able to add an IFC file right here, and we can also add that folder. As I said before, folders help us keep those disciplines separated, helps us keep our project tree organized. Very useful. Let's go ahead and take out this architectural skin. So we'll delete it. We have no more architectural model. I can add an IFC file. I can go and find it. Here I've got it. It's right over here, IFC. And there we go. It's found my IFC model, and I'm prompted to tag a discipline. Now, the advantages of tagging a discipline to our models, simple. When we are in a variety of locations, it can either be the issues page. If we are scrolling through a report and quickly want to see that issue within the viewer, tagging a discipline to a model and tagging these disciplines to an issue will significantly increase the speed in which we can view those issues here in the cloud. Now, I'm going to start talking a bit about the advantages of working cloud-based as well, as opposed to retrieving these issues within Navisworks or trying to look for those issues within Navisworks, trying to look for them in Revit. I'm going to tag that discipline and start that upload. It takes a couple of seconds, just like that. Perfect. It's been imported, and we'll very easily see that IFC processing right here. And as soon as it's done, we'll be able to toggle it on. Now, there is a second way of getting models into the viewer. And this is a premium feature. I don't want it to sound like a bit of a sales pitch here today for you guys, but this is a functionality that's reserved for those premium plans. So if you guys don't have this ability, let us know and we can talk to you about the advantages of the premium plans. Here, let's just quickly toggle on that skin, and there it is. Perfect. Let's drag that up here into the appropriate file, folder. Perfect, there we go. The second method, the more intelligent way of getting these models into the cloud would be to schedule a publish from the Revit environment. I have this publish button right here. Again, I've connected my account, same hub, same project. We publish, we select a view to export, and you'll notice that because I have just uploaded that IFC to the cloud, it's recognizing this model as a revision. This is exactly what we want. We can associate a discipline from Revit if we have not published the model yet, but because we have, and because we have associated a discipline, it recognizes it as being an architectural model. Perfect. At the same time we can publish our models, we can publish our sheets. And we'll talk about sheets in a little bit more detail in a second, but for right now, just publish this model. We can publish this Revit model as an IFC to the cloud immediately, or we can schedule it to be published at any given time interval. Now, this becomes quite useful if we want to assure that the models we're seeing in the cloud are as up to date and as recent as the models we're working on. So if we will be using the viewer on a daily or bi-daily basis, perhaps we'd like to say, I'd like this to recur every day at exactly 5 o'clock. So every day, a session of Revit is automatically launched. This model is published to the cloud, and we will always be shown the most recent version or revision of the model. Perhaps we're just interested in seeing an updated model on a weekly basis. Perhaps every Thursday, 5 o'clock, starting tomorrow, a new revision will be added to the selected model. My task has successfully been created. We say, okay, perfect. If I quickly return to this dialog box and just grab the 3D view, which one am I looking at? Yeah, perfect. Let's just publish it right now. And we'll see that once we get back to the viewer, we refresh this page, we'll no longer be looking at revision 1, we will be looking at revision 2. And while we wait to see this happening, you'll notice that right now we're looking at the 5th revision of our structural steel model. And I'm able to manage those revisions. Now we can go back in time and look at previously published information. This is something we don't typically see, when we're publishing those models. If we're overriding those NWCs we're sending to Navisworks, if we're not creating that library of previously published models, here in the viewer, we have that information. We have that history of modifications that have been made. Here I can see Revit's done here, so we go back, perfect. It was successfully published to Revit, great. Sorry, successfully published to Bimtrack. We head back here, and again, we can switch between those revisions if we'd like, and if we quickly just reload this page, it will turn off all of my models. I don't mind. You'll notice it's analyzing the 2nd revision of our architectural model. While we wait, let's turn on that structural steel model. Let's turn on our plumbing, our HVAC, our electrical, and, oops, sorry, that's fire and electrical. Now let's head inside. I did not want to get too deep today into the navigation kind of tools in here, or the measurements, or switching between perspective and orthographic, because as BIM modelers, as BIM coordinators, we're familiar with 3D environments. It shouldn't be difficult to figure out the difference between orbit and pan or look. So again, we're going to focus today on the benefits of using the platform, why we would integrate this into our perhaps Autodesk heavy workflow. We're already seeing some benefits with those revisions. A cloud-based location where we can see our models. If there are individuals on the project overseeing who don't have access to an Autodesk license, a client, an owner, a representative. Give them a seat of Bimtrack. Now they have a location where they can view the models, see the progress, see the issues, see how they're being resolved. So just keep that in mind while we swim around in the cloud up here. So we've turned on a bunch of models. You'll notice that my models are quite colorful, and that's because I've used color overrides from my project settings. Again, this facilitates it if, again, someone who is not familiar with the 3D environment is participating in this venture. We can apply those transparencies. We can apply color overrides. But what if we would like to change the color overrides that we see here? Well, perhaps I'd like my fire model to be completely red. And what if I'd like my HVAC model to not be green as I see here, but to be this turquoise color? I'm overriding the model completely. If I select objects, we're also going to see all of the properties and attributes related to an object. So these are not just pieces of model here in the cloud. These are intelligent objects. We're extracting this information from the IFC. Great, perfect. All of those models are being published to the cloud as an IFC, as I said earlier. Let's use that intelligence to our advantage. Now, if I clear that selection and I head down here to the categories command, you'll also notice that we have the ability of overriding specific categories. Perhaps I don't like this shade of red for a variety of reasons. Make it a little bit darker. Great. I don't like that my beams are this type of blue. Make them a little bit darker. Great. I can go back to my project tree, change the color of my HVAC. Let's make that even brighter. Sorry guys, getting a little trigger happy here. Oh, that's plumbing. Where am I? Make sure you hit apply. Great, now it looks too similar to the steel, so let's make it green again. Perfect. I like my changes. This is something I would like to see every time I come into the web viewer. I don't want to have to apply those colors. I don't want to have to make those modifications from my specific user case. I'm able to create a saved view from this exact color scheme. Just create a saved view. We'll call it webinar view, just like that. That's fine. We'll update it so it remembers all of the changes. Perfect. There we go. Now, anytime I come into the viewer, I select webinar view and I see exactly what I'm seeing right here in this exact location. Perfect. Again, if you guys have any questions today, please use the question and answer portion of the Zoom meeting, the Zoom webinar. Got some colleagues online. They'll be more than happy to answer your questions. I'll take some live questions at the end here today. I'll check through the list, answer your questions, demonstrate some examples here today. Perfect. In addition to the models that we are able to see right here, we can also import sheets. Now the sheets and the IFCs in the project tree are very similar. We can import them the exact same way. We can create folders the same way we did or saw in the project tree. I won't go through that with you guys. But we can also publish our sheets as well. So I have gone ahead and I've set up a scheduled publish of my Revit sheets right here. I can simply just turn on any sheet and it will automatically align itself with my model. And now we are hyper modeling 2D information on top of 3D information. So now I'm able to see these joist tags. I'm able to see grid lines, dimensions, labels, room names, whatever the case may be, whatever was on this sheet is now visible to us here in the viewer, hyper modeled on top of our project. And here's a little technical tip I like to show sometimes. I'll modify the top clipping plane. I'll raise it up so I can still see my sheet. and a little bit of the model underneath. So now those columns are kind of sticking through that sheet. I can kind of see some mechanical, ductwork or mechanical portions over here, some walls sticking out. Just find it's kind of cool. And you know what? I think it's so cool. I'd like to create a saved view out of that. And this was our first floor plan. So let's go ahead and create a, why isn't my mouse working? Strange. I don't know why that's. Sorry about that, everyone. I hope you're all still here. I think I'm having some technical difficulties there for a second. Should be back. Let me just make sure. Oh, give me 1 second there, everybody. I'm very sorry. Something seems to be acting up with my computer. Let's see if I can just refresh this. Sit tight, guys. I'm just going to pause the recording. All right. I think we're back on track. Let's hope everything worked out. So that saved view that we had created, I'm just going to select it right here. It's going to, as you'll notice, take me right back to the same location we were in when we created the view, turned on the specific models, and applied my very specific color overrides. Good thing we created that view before my computer wigged out a little bit there. So we were talking about sheets, and we were talking about sheets that were automatically published out of the Revit environment. As you can see, we're looking at revisions. We can turn on specific sheets. They will automatically hypermodel on top of our project. So now we can see that 2D and 3D information as we had mentioned before. And what's very interesting and fairly new into the viewer is we have the ability of publishing and viewing sheets that contain sections. So here you'll notice I'm looking at the longitudinal section, but this sheet also contains multiple views. I have the longitudinal section, I have the transversal section right here, and I have a call out. My two sections both have the same scale. However, my call out has a different scale. But if I just select Mes Plan callout here, the sheet will automatically adjust, overlay itself on top of my model, just like that. And if we head to the transversal section, there we go. Now we're looking at those levels, those grids in the exact location. Now, just like we have the ability of manually importing a model, we have the ability of manually importing a sheet. And if that sheet came from another platform, maybe 2D AutoCAD, perhaps the scales or perhaps that sheet was not published to the right scale, we have the ability of manually modifying those sheets. And as I said today, I don't want to get too technical, but I want you to know that that information is there. So now, not only are we seeing 3D models, but we're seeing that model with additional information. This is fantastic. And again, we're doing this in the cloud where anybody on the project is able to see these models in this context. We can also create those saved views with sheets turned on, so we're able to immediately return to those sheets. Now I'm going to turn on my Mes plan right here again. I'm going to go ahead and turn off all of my models, because something very interesting happens when we're only looking at a sheet. We know that when we are looking at models here in the cloud, we're able to see all of the issues on our project. However, when we have just a 2D sheet enabled, we are able to filter the issues and show issues that were just created on this sheet. So I can very easily see that the last 3 issues I've created, 535 up to 537, were created here while I'm looking at this specific sheet, and I can view and model on any of them to be taken directly to the location. Perfect. Oops, my filter list came off there. Check beam alignment. I can click on the title of the issue to see all of the context. Click on that preview image to see what exactly was in question. So now we're using the viewer in the cloud to perform our 2D markups. We can filter the issues by the sheet that they appear on, which is a very nice feature. So we're not looking at every single issue, we're looking at issues we came across here. And should we want to create our own issue, here we can take another example here, maybe in the corner we find something, we can very easily create an issue, define the attributes, specify whatever that information may be, the same way we can do it in the add-ins. Again, if we filter the issue list based on clipping, I see the camera pinpoints. We also have the ability of showing all of those pinpoints. So now we're able to get a heat map of exactly what we're looking at, or exactly where the issues and where the very high volume areas may be within our project. Perfect. So we got some questions coming in. I see a great one over here. I'm going to address that one about the color coding. I'll go into a little bit more detail about that later. There's a nice heat map for you. That's every viewpoint of all of my issues. So let's just turn all of those off, just like that. Let's head back to our project tree. Let's turn on some of our, let's just jump back here and turn on our saved view. Oops. Oh, my clipping plane is still on. There you go. Great. Lovely. As I mentioned before, we can retrieve issues that were created in any platform. Here we'll click on issue 526. Notice that this issue, when I clicked view and model, it turned on the architectural skin. And how did it do that? Well, if I click on the view edit button, it opened that issue in a new tab. And in the disciplines, it had architecture and structural steel tagged. Therefore, it knew to automatically turn on my architectural model. So this is quite a nice advantage. Whenever I go to view an issue, it will automatically turn on the related models. Perfect. If I'm not interested in seeing that architectural skin anymore, I simply switch it off. And of course, we know that if we are in the cloud here, so let's go ahead and swing over here. What I've done is I've selected the look command. It's my favorite navigation tool. And I use the arrow keys or the WASD to navigate through my project. Now, it may not be as smooth on your end as it is on mine. And if we select some objects, we can, of course, create an issue here as well. And issues we create in the cloud are, of course, going to be visible to us in whatever platform we've opted to retrieve them in. So let's just quickly assign it to my mechanical user and save that. Great. If we head into Navisworks real quick, log in, same hub, same project. Of course, the last issue here waiting for us is issue 538, web issue. Click it. Same location. Based off of my settings in Navisworks, it knew to push a section box around those related objects, like so. Great. Perfect. Hope you guys are seeing some additional benefits here by using these IFCs in the cloud. Another great thing about this cloud-based web viewer is that we have the ability of seeing these models wherever we may be, on a laptop at home, on a mobile device, on site. And just for fun here today, guys, let's go ahead and do this. I am going to share my screen from my tablet right here. Let's see if we can open up our Chrome, our browser, right here on my little Samsung tablet. Great, we're looking at the exact same project. The first thing I'm going to do is head into a full screen mode. Obviously, the bigger your tablet is, the newer it is, the smarter it is, the best, the faster your internet connection is, the easier, and smoother time you'll have with this. I again like to use the look option up here in the ribbon, and we get those little blue arrows, and now we can just fly forward. We can jump inside. Right here, I'll just fly through this. Maybe we'll look down a little bit. And we'll fly down. We'll look up here. And we can start retrieving issues, seeing the model exactly the way we would see it on our desktop, on our laptop, in Navisworks and Revit. And if we would like to access any of those, I need to refresh here. Let's just go ahead and do that real quick. No, we don't really need to. We can hit the issues. We're able to see all of the issues that were created. So we can start retrieving them. Here, we'll just click on the title. And it'll take us to the exact same location. There, I get my section box around it. And if I'd like to make a modification right here, maybe I'd like to modify the camera. So we'll go like this. Perfect, there. There's my laptop, guys. We're seeing it live. Click. Okay, look at that. Okay, right up there. Save. Now we have a brand new preview image. We could have added images to the comment section. We can create new issues here. Just go get rid of this. Again, this tablet's a little bit older, so it's not the smoothest. And of course, the Zoom meeting doesn't help. Let's turn off that clipping box and see our whole model. So I hope that gives you guys a little bit of a insight as to what we can do with the viewer. We can be anywhere. We can be anybody on the project, accessing the models, accessing the sheets, accessing the issues, communicating, commenting, adding mobile pictures, whatever the case is, we have that ability directly related to the cloud. Now, let's see if I can stop the sharing here. Yeah, there we go. We'll go back, perfect, to my screen. Great, back on the laptop. We had a question about color coding. It's a great question. I briefly mentioned it before, but I'd like to really touch on it if someone is interested. When we turned on our models, we'll use the architectural model here as an example, and as well as the structural steel. I see all of these color overrides. I see transparencies on my roof. If we go inside here, I got transparencies on my slabs. My columns are red, my beams are blue, and I did that from the project settings. So let's head there real quick. Of course, for us project admins, we know this is where we define our general settings, where we specify the attributes, and where we see the categories. So if I expand the general category, these categories are being derived from IFCs, again, those industry foundation classes, which are supported across the industry through a variety of developers. I can see it's here where I said I want my beams to be green, or sorry, blue, but let's make them green now. There we go. My columns, we'll just make them a darker shade of red. Perhaps doors, we'd like them to be lime green as well, or that's my go-to color if you hadn't noticed. Great. Slabs, they already have transparency applied. Let's make them even more transparent. I've hidden spaces. Great. We save those changes. When we go back to the viewer, you'll notice now nothing is turned on. When we switch on the structural steel model, my columns are of a darker shade of red. My beam systems are green now. They're no longer blue. But if I wanted to override those personally, I can still make those modifications right here, like so. There we go, great. And now I can create a saved view with my own personal preference, my color overrides, my visual, here I've hidden slabs. Now this is my saved view, my color overrides, my sheets turned on. And you'll notice here, I'll just quickly mention this. If we turn on that section again here, we'll get that transversal section. Give it a second. It's a big sheet. Great. If I create a saved view right now, and I update it, if I go to my first floor, here I created this one for my mobile site there. We didn't have a chance to open up those saved views. Perfect, takes me to the same location, and it will turn on that sheet as well. There it is. If I head to the section view we had just created together, takes me right back, turns on that sheet. I hope that answered your question. I'm going to take a look at the question portion. I can see all of the questions have been answered here by my colleagues. Let me go through here. Everyone's been answered. Part of the project template. Oh, that was again, I didn't actually mention that. If I jump to the back here, those color overrides we had put into the categories are then saved in the template. So that's a very, very nice thing to do. See people asking about the meeting being frozen. Also, great question here about sheets. If we are publishing our sheets from the Revit environment, or even if our users or we are personally uploading our sheets to the viewer, the other users on the project are able to download these sheets as well. So this becomes not a place, not a file transfer, but a location where we can store our PDFs, where we can organize them in folders, and where we can download them and share them amongst the teams. All right, so I see everyone's questions are being answered. What I'm going to do, guys, is I've got another poll right here. It's the post-webinar poll. If you guys would be so kind as to answer those 4 questions, that would be very helpful. I'm going to stick around online here for a little while, guys. I appreciate you coming in today. Sorry about the little hiccup we had mid-webinar there with my computer. Something went strange there, but I'm going to answer some questions if you guys have. Got a good question here about color coding different duct systems. Unfortunately, the way that the tool works with categories is it will override all of those ducts. However, here's a little bit of a solution here. I'm just going to turn off this sheet, and we're going to turn off that clipping plane. Got a lot of questions coming in now. This is great, guys. Super excited about that. Let's say we turn on our ductwork, our HVAC. There it is. You saw how I overrode the color of the entire model. If we drop down and down again, I'm looking at the objects based off of their level. So here, maybe I'd like all of the ductwork on the first floor to be, you guessed it, lime green. Don't have much there. What about on the roof or higher? There, some things disappeared, make it turquoise. So we see those objects, those colors changing. So we can dig through the models and change specific objects either based off of level or area right here. So if I wanted to change all of the flow settings or flow fittings, sorry, to a different color, like so, on a specific level. So we can get quite granular with how we color code. It's not like in Revit where we can override the colors as we're drawing. I see a question about wait a second, green, and this trigger event for a Revit session is attached. Scheduler, can it be scheduled overnight? Yeah, so we had a question here about the scheduled publish. Bimtrack is actually using the task scheduler to automatically launch a session of Revit and send those models up to the cloud. So yes, this can be performed overnight as long as the computer is left on. There we go. I see a question here about getting the ability to publish the sheets. You have to download a printer. We'll reach out and get you settled with that issue. Not to worry. The recording of this webinar will be sent out to everybody who had attended or who had registered. So just give me an hour or so after the recording processes to upload it, to throw an email together and send it out to all of you guys. And I am seeing a lot of questions about exporting the Navisworks model into Bimtrack. Now, this has been something we've been asked quite a few times. It's something that we're fully aware of, that getting this Revit schedule up, it's not hard. It's we just need each individual subcontractor or stakeholder on the project to set up that schedule. Having the ability to publish from Navisworks is on our radar. It's something that we're fully aware that you guys are interested in, that you guys are after. So it is something that is, I'll say, in the Bimtrack kitchen. It's something that we're working on. We're discussing internally. It is a complicated matter, but stay tuned, guys, as the viewer develops, and we will be developing heavily into the viewer in the very near future. And we can start expecting to see a lot more intelligence, a lot more speed. Maybe it even will look a little bit different too. So stay tuned about that, guys. It's going to be very exciting things for the viewer in the very near future. I really wanted to take the time to show you guys what it is the viewer can do for you in your existing workflow. Again, if you guys do have any technical questions about the viewer, please feel free to reach out, and I'll make sure I send this link over as well. We offer live training sessions. My colleague JC and I offer sessions almost every day, every week at 9 a.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Eastern. For our hub admins, for issue management, for our end users, as well as for the web viewer. So if any of you guys would like to get really in-depth in how the tools work, and like I said, the clipping, the section boxes, the measurement tools, you're able to register for that class with either JC or myself, and we host those every second Tuesday. So I'll make sure I send this link to this page out as well. And if you guys are in need of some training, you're more than welcome to to sign up for any classes that interest you. So I'm seeing all of the questions having been answered. I still have my post-webinar poll out there, guys. If you want to go through there and answer those questions, that's much appreciated. If you guys don't have any more questions, that's it for us. I'd like to thank you for being here today, for taking the time to bear with me as my computer gave me some issues, but I hope you guys found some value in what it is Bimtrack's web viewer can provide for you here in the cloud or on a mobile tablet device. So thank you very much, guys. Like I said, you can filter out if you'd like. I'll stick around, answer some questions. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. Stay safe and take care.